Samsung may have screwed it up with the Note 7's battery, but that camera on the phablet, same as the S7 Edge, is still one of the best, probably the very best out there. Meanwhile, our OnePlus 3's camera has impressed us so much that we are going to pit it against the S7 Edge's camera today. We'll make the two phones go head to head in over 25 different scenarios and give you a definitive verdict on which of the two shooters is better. Ready? Let's watch some optical violence. These two images might not look very different in the first look, but there are indeed some pronounced differences when you look closely. Zoom in and the OnePlus 3 camera shows its superiority in detail capture. The face of that stacker toy has been captured in much higher detail on the OnePlus. Zoom in too hard and the S7 Edge's image looks pixelated and rather soft on the edges. Even the background is more washed out in the S7 image. The dark clouds on the top of the tall building behind the toy are more visible in the OnePlus 3's image than that of the S7 Edge. Overall, the OnePlus 3's image has a significant advantage in terms of sharpness, detail and exposure. The OnePlus 3 wins the inaugural round. It's an extremely close contest here. The Samsung image is very slightly brighter, but the OnePlus image is more detailed as before. Zoom into our orange stag's smile or to his right ear, and the OnePlus's denser detail is pretty evident. Also, as before, the background of the S7 Edge is very mildly more washed out than the OnePlus's camera. OnePlus 3 wins here as well. The OnePlus 3 takes this one too, with its better detail capture and sharpness in both dark as well as bright reflective areas. For the dark section, let's zoom into the right eye of this figurine. The OnePlus 3 has lesser pixelation, more details and better exposure. For the brighter part, let's zoom into the lady's big necklace and her ornate skirt. The OnePlus 3's results are better here as well. Also, the clouds in the background sky are somewhat more visible in the OnePlus 3's image. By this time, you might be thinking that the S7 Edge is losing this battle. But wait before you jump the gun, as this comprehensive shootout surprised us as much as it would surprise you very soon. Let's move on to the next scenario. This hooded frog toy has incredible detail in its fur to be captured. Zoom in and there is no doubt that every strand of the fur is visible more clearly in the image taken by the OnePlus 3. Zooming into the image taken by the S7 Edge, the fur looks relatively fuzzier. Another point for the OnePlus 3. The previous three scenarios had a bright background, making the object go somewhat dark. In this scenario, we have better lighting conditions with liberal diffused light falling upon a bright object. Let's see the results. It's another closely matched pair of images. However, the properties exhibited by the two phone cameras remain the same. S7 Edge's image is mildly brighter and loses some detail on surfaces reflecting light directly. Color reproduction is closely matched, though the S7 has a marginal edge here, pun very much intended. With more details and more sharpness, the OnePlus 3 takes this one too. Most of the images we took here had the focal objects pretty close to the camera. Taking the focal object away from the camera throws out new results. As you can see in these images, we have focused on three different figurines with the focal object going farther away in every subsequent image. The S7 Edge redeems itself here, capturing images which are far away with more detail. The S7 scores its first goal, and will score many more as we'll soon see. In a typical scenario with that white reflective sky in the background, that laughing Buddha should appear really dark in an image. But we put the two phones in HDR mode to keep the smile on the happy guy's face intact. Riding on some help from software, the S7 Edge's hardware manages to ace the OnePlus 3 again in this image. Quite surprisingly though, the colors are more naturally reproduced by the OnePlus here. Also, there is a subtle haze over the image dished out by the S7 Edge. However, zoom in, look closely, and the details in this HDR image are better on Samsung's version. Check out the sharpness and clarity on those beads and also on the face of the Buddha. Lesser grains, more detail, and an overall better image. The S7 Edge takes this close one. You would want to think that the S7 Edge would demolish the OnePlus 3 in low light with its f/1.7 aperture. Well, it does have an advantage over the OnePlus, but the difference is excruciatingly narrow. The OnePlus image is slightly darker with a bit more noise than the S7 Edge's result. The OnePlus 3's image, however, is as detailed if not better than the S7 Edge's. We'd give this one to the S7 purely for its brighter result and marginally less noise, though overall it was a close contest. Here is another low light shot of another object with more colors, and this time the results are slightly different. Although the OnePlus 3's image appears slightly darker, zoom in and it reveals plenty of detail with no extra noise. This aspect would allow you to post-process this image better. The other important aspect is that the OnePlus 3 has managed to capture color where the S7 Edge has completely failed. Look at the sides of this box and you'll see how the S7 has failed to register the dark green dots which the OnePlus has captured so very well. Surprisingly enough, the OnePlus 3 takes this one. Just to be sure, we did another test using HDR on both phones in low light conditions as well. This is where the OnePlus 3's camera screwed it up completely, making the image noisy in a bid to brighten it up. The S7 Edge's HDR, on the other hand, further improved the image, eliminating even the residual noise and winning this one hands down. Here is a tip then. Don't use HDR for low light shooting on the OnePlus 3. On the S7 Edge, definitely do. As instantly evident in these images, the flash intensity of the Galaxy S7 Edge is noticeably superior to that of the OnePlus. The better illuminated subject also results in a more appealing final image for the Samsung. While upon zooming in, the difference in the level of details between the two images isn't much, we'll still give it to the S7 for its better flash and the resultant better exposure. Getting the camera really close to the subject yields fantastic results sometimes, and we tested the two phone cameras for the capability to do so. In our first test, we kept the two phones at a distance of 3 inches from the subject. The OnePlus 3 managed to capture more detail, as evident in places like the small cracks below the spheroids on the figurine's head. Even the background is less washed out in the OnePlus 3's image. However, that hardly matters in this test, as you'll see next. Move closer to the subject and the S7 shows its superiority in the macro department. While the OnePlus simply fails to focus, the S7 Edge delivers a crisp, sharp image with a fantastically blurred background. It's a landslide win for the S7 Edge in the macro department. We've never been very happy with the OnePlus 3's panorama image capabilities. To start off, it simply doesn't take panorama images in landscape mode. Secondly, and what's amply evident, the resultant image is relatively blurry and not stitched very well. We'll give this one to the S7 Edge as well. The OnePlus 3 front camera has an 8 megapixel front shooter as against the Edge's 5 megapixel unit. The S7 Edge's camera, however, has a wider capture angle, covering a larger area. In these shots, you can clearly see the advantage the S7 has with regards area covered, which would mean easy selfies even for a larger group. On the flip side, the OnePlus 3 camera captures more detail and is also less prone to brightly lit sections getting washed out. This one is a tie for us, depending on whether you want a wider capture angle or more details. On the OnePlus 3, the camera tracking the ball and the figurines feels somewhat shaky. Even the ball gets blurry as we try to track it. The S7 Edge's camera, thanks to its higher frame rate and better stabilization, feels all that sharper, smoother and overall better. The S7 takes this one with quite some margin. The OnePlus 3, to its credit, delivers richer colors and better exposure overall. The S7 captures slow-mo at a faster 240 frames per second rate as compared to the OnePlus's 120 frames per second recording. Since it captures slow-mo at a faster frame rate, you can achieve a slower slow-mo video, which is the very point of capturing these videos. So the S7 has a clear edge here. The S7 wins this one convincingly. This one is about the speed at which the autofocus locks onto subjects while taking videos. As you can see, the face detection autofocus on the OnePlus 3 is pretty snappy. It latches onto the doll that intrudes the frame and moves along with it pretty convincingly. It takes the focus back to the distant objects pretty quickly too as soon as the doll leaves the frame. A similar test with the S7 Edge reveals that the Edge's autofocus is relatively slower, as you can clearly see for yourself in this video. OnePlus 3 has a faster autofocus and it wins this round by some margin. Panning is something almost all of us do while taking everyday videos. Here are a few pan shots taken from both the phones, including faraway objects as well as indoors. It's quite evident that the S7 delivers a crisper pan with lesser shake and blur. There isn't much to debate here, and the S7 is a clear winner. Both phones here come with optical image stabilization. While optical image stabilization is a generic term, its implementation on various phones delivers very different results. Let's see which one of the two does a better job here. In our walking test, the S7 Edge manages to mitigate the hobble much more effectively than its Chinese rival. Even while turning around, the pan on the S7 Edge appears remarkably jerk-free and smoother. The S7 Edge wins this one too. Another test while traveling in a car on pothole-ridden streets of Mumbai throws out similar results. The S7 Edge's camera takes crisper videos, toning down jerks and delivering an overall less jerky and more professional video. Alright then, it's decision time. As you would have noticed, the two phone cameras were pretty evenly matched when we tested them for still images. The gap, however, opened up widely when we tested them for videos. In our opinion, for still images, the OnePlus 3 has a marginal edge over the S7 Edge's camera in terms of sharpness and detail. The software-driven modes work better on the S7 Edge though, with better stitched panorama shots and better HDR too. The Samsung, however, is a significantly better shooter of videos. Taking all the parameters into consideration, the Galaxy S7 Edge emerges our overall winner, despite losing by a whisker in the still images department. As for the OnePlus 3, with its incomparably lower price, it still is a winner from a value perspective. The hardware on this phone is top-notch, though we hope OnePlus can tweak the software to make it shine even brighter. If and when that happens, we'll bring these two phones head-to-head again. Thanks for watching, and do share this video with your friends who might find it useful. We'll be back with another quality video very soon.
Before you leave, here's a little something we wanted to tell you. At Gizmoids, we're here to serve you smashing tech reviews blended with unique entertainment. If you like what you see, do subscribe to our channel or like or share our videos. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again soon.